like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
Talking of the new album, The Grace of a Dragonfly, it's out very soon. How do you feel ahead of its release?
Oh, mate, yeah, absolutely excited, yeah. We were concerned because when this project first started, because you have to understand that, you know, we record it all online. We don't actually get together. We found this out during the reality of miracles with COVID, that we could actually work together. And with Steve being busy with Michael Schenker and everyone in the band doing different things, it's very hard. So when we decided, well, it was one of the things that Lee started writing songs, and they all sort of like lent towards the Second World War. He loves history. So does Clive. Steve suggested a concept album. But one thing we had to be really, really careful of is the fact that we're not elaborating war. We're not publishing an album. We're not promoting an album that promotes war. It's about basically anti-war. It's about peace and love, hippie. But you have to be very careful, mate. It's the fact that not to upset certain people with certain misunderstandings. And so basically we decided that this was going to celebrate, this was going to thank all the people, all the girls and all the boys and all the men and women that served in the wars in different countries that actually sacrificed their lives for us. They knew they probably weren't coming back, and they actually sacrificed their lives so that we could live a lot peaceful.
So Lee, it's Lee that's the history buff in the band, and it was his.
Him and Clive love reading all the books, and Steve's a bit like that as well. That's the good thing about it. But when Lee started writing the lyrics, it lent towards everything mentioning certain things regarding the war and the people that served in the war. So that's why we had to be very careful at the start to try and get this message across. I did an interview last month, and so the first thing the guy said was, "Hey, this is a new album." War. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, no, it's not. So you have to get that clear straight away.
Because it's a weighty subject matter. I mean, did that sort of subject matter help sort of shape the musical direction of the album as well?
Yeah, and also it was mostly Lee's lyrics that led more towards that, because the titles and the lyrics he was coming up with, which was great. You know, we all contribute towards the writing, and as the song started, Steve's putting down the backing tracks and Lee's writing the lyrics, and Steve's, you know, basically putting the intro in. So when you hear the first couple of songs, you think, well, okay, this is what we're leaning towards. This is the direction we're going. And there was a song that I had in my head that I was just singing indoors, and I thought to myself, have I heard this before? There's something, this little earworm, music worm in my head, and I was just la 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 la. So I went in the room, in my bedroom with a laptop. They've got Cubase. So I started playing these chords, and I heard this tune, da 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 da. And cut a long story short, sent it to Steve, and I said, Steve, have a listen. The chorus, I said to Lee, the chorus, I want the same melody as them harmony guitars. And Lee went straight away, I'm going to call this Little Ships. To be honest, it all came flooding back to me about Dunkirk with the fishing boats. And I thought, wow, because of his knowledge of all the books that he reads, Little Ships. So I said, I don't care what you call it. I don't care what the lyrics are. But as long as you keep the chorus, the melody, the same as the guitar harmonies. Because everyone was singing, oh, those were the days of Little Ships. It keeps going in your head. So it's a catchy little tune. And that's what made me put the chords down. But that's the way we lean towards writing.
Yeah.
And it's the same with adding different instruments. Like one song might be nearly finished, and Steve will send me the song so far into the recording, the backing track, Lee's vocal, guide vocal, no choruses on it yet, because the Lionettes do all the vocals for the choruses with Lee. There was no, as I say, me, Rocky and Steve hadn't added the choruses with the vocals, but it gives you time to sit there with the guitar and work out the solos and get in the idea of the song so that the solo contributes to the song. It gives us a lot more space and less rush. We're all at ease at home, you know.
Yeah. I mean, such a lot happened over that 6-year period from the start of the war and even beforehand to the end. I mean, you could easily have written a triple album about the subject. So how did you sort of narrow down the subject matter just to sort of keep it to the one album? Did you have some other ideas that you sort of jettisoned along the way?
No, as I say, it was only after the Reality of Miracles, because, as I said earlier, we were able to finish that because of lockdown. Then we didn't know, when we started writing straight away with the Grace of a Dragonfly, we didn't have the title. We didn't know what was going on. We all said, let's call it Lionheart 5, you know, or Lionheart V, or just V. There was loads of ideas flying around. But the way we listened, the way we were getting Lee's lyrics were all leaning towards the Second World War, and the way he sort of contributed the lyrics towards thanking and respecting the people, as I say, that sacrificed their lives. So it was only a matter of putting once we got the hang of the songs and we were leaning in that vein of that direction, it was quite easy because Steve was coming up with some great little riffs and some great backing stuff. Rocky was coming up with some great ideas, and we were all putting them all down. But when it came to the melting pot, it goes to Lee, and then all of a sudden he's writing a song about something else in the Second World War, which we never even thought about, because he's adding the lyrics as we go, you know.
I mean, Declaration's a great way to open the album. It's a very bold statement, and to me it distills everything that I like about Lionheart, from the powerful vocals, the great guitar melodies and harmonies, and those huge layered harmony vocals as well. I mean, was that always going to be the song to open the album? You wanted a big statement? Well,
that is all down to the general that's in charge of sailing our ship with you, Steve Mann, in the studio. He's the captain. I heard him say today on an interview that we did together for Japan, the fact that with that, he listens to a lot of classical music. And so when he gets these little tunes in his head, he goes straight onto the piano and starts twiddling about. And I think that's where he got the idea from it. How would you like an album to start? Yeah. And that's exactly what he did, using certain programs on the keyboard. So that's what he does. And then the minute, you know, Lee hears it, oh, this sounds like we're making a statement. It's a declaration, something like that. So that's how it sort of starts to work out. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you're looking at the war from a slightly different angle to, say, Sabaton or somebody like that. I mean, This Is a Woman's War is a perfect example of that, because nobody writes about what it was like for those people left at home, for the wives and the girlfriends. So it's a very overlooked subject in the war. So you know, I get it. I get it. That's important. It was an important part of the project to look at things from a more personal point of view.
Well, to be honest, Mick, we all looked at it the complete opposite. It was the women that went to war, not the ones that left at home. It was the ones that worked undercover. It was the ones that worked in the secret service, or the ones that spies.
Agent Garbo,
You know, there's like Lee and Steve and Clive will write about 10 films that you can watch. I can't. I don't watch many films, but it's funny you say that about, we didn't actually think about the women left at home with the children. It was one of those things where it's a woman's war, which could have included those. But at the same time, many, many women were taken away and tortured Many women were captured, the resistance and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we looked at it. And the funny thing you picking up on that song is that we spoke about a girl singer maybe singing that song on the album. I approached Sharon from Within Temptation.
All right, yeah.
Because I work sometimes with her, with Maiden United, with Ruth Jolly, the guitarist, and all the guys from Within Temptation with Maiden United. The only unfortunate thing there was the timing, because they were stuck at home, and Sharon was working 24 hours a day they were writing the new album for Within Temptation, and she was totally unavailable, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I think it would have been great to have her name on the album. She's a fantastic person.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think, would it have disjointed the flow? I don't know. So in a way, Lee sang it very, very well. We recorded it, so it's unfortunate that we couldn't get Sharon, but at the end of the day, I think the end result is still continuity of the album. I think it still flows really well, and all that's down to Steve anyway, because once we've got all the songs in a line, it's the running order that makes a lot of difference for the song.
Yeah. And then there's The Longest Night as well. There's that football theme running through that song. So what's that song telling us?
I've no idea, because I was listening to. I was nothing to do with the organisation of that song, and I'd say there's a couple of the others, because I just wait at home till Steve sends me the track, so I can then start working on the guitars and whenever we're doing the backing vocals or the choruses. It's one of those songs which Steve, if he was here, would have answered perfectly, or Lee, because it was them that were working as a duo, keeping us a little bit in the dark, because it saves time to keep bouncing emails and samples and files just to two people. It's a lot quicker. So The Longest Night, I think I should have get Steve on the interview. Or Lee.
Yeah, and there's Eagle's Nest as well. And that's a song about Hitler's retreat in Berchtesgaden. Now, I went there back in the late 80s when I was backpacking around Europe, and, the view is absolutely stunning. And to think that such evil was living amongst such beauty is quite incredible. I mean, have you been there, or?
No, I haven't. I know Lee has. Lee took loads of photographs. I think I'm not sure about the rest of the band, but it's funny you should say that, because I spoke to someone earlier today regarding the style of music that Lionheart play and the songs that we sort of stick to, which is normally a pattern. But going back to The Reality of Miracles, when I listen to that one song, The Reality of Miracles, it reminds me of a poppy kind of commercial song, the way the lyrics and the melody go with the song, which is Lee's work. I thought, when I first listened to The Reality of Miracles, I thought, this doesn't sound like a Lionheart song. It sounds like something you see on the TV or the radio. And then when we come to this new album, when I first heard Eagle's Nest, again, I thought, wow, we've moved from the twin harmony guitars, we've moved from the dual guitars, we've moved from the double bass drum. We're back to The Reality of Miracles. And it's like, again, Eagle's Nest is such a catchy commercial song. We should have had it as one of the singles. But we didn't. People choose different things. But that Eagle's Nest is probably one of my favourite songs on the album. Because the chorus is so catchy. It means things. It means certain things. It takes you away from the normal run-of-the-mill verse, chorus, bad guitar solo, drums, bass, big vocals. That's completely different. The way it's structured, the way the song's structured.
Because the album title itself creates a very vivid image, and I know you touched on the title a little bit earlier. So, where did that come from?
Well, Lee suggested the Grace of a Dragonfly because we were under the understanding that it was the nickname, the Dragonfly, was nicknamed after the Spitfire. And we tried to find out more about it. When we decided to have the Grace of the Dragonfly as the title, Tristan, who does all our artwork, absolutely fantastic stuff he does, Tristan Grant. When he did it, if you look at it closely, you can see the Spitfire with the Dragonfly above it. So if it's transparent, you can actually see images of the Spitfire underneath it. And then by accident, by chance, coincidence, whatever you want to say, we found out that it's also the Grace of a Dragonfly. It initiates, or it means transition. Wherever Steve found this, he was talking about it today. Lucky I remembered it. It's transition into one to the other. So we thought, wow, then it's transition from war to peace.
Yes.
It means something. It changes something. And also in the Chinese New Year, it's the year of the dragon, which was a coincidence. So there's lots of little spiritual things going on with the Dragonfly, the Grace of the Dragonfly. That was all unknown to us. It was just that Lee knew roughly this Dragonfly was a nickname for the Spitfires that used to fly like lunatics around the sky with dogfights. So it was one of them things where the Grace of a Dragonfly, when you see it, it is graceful. And I think that was a connection to us calling that album, because it was dedicated to the people in the war.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you had Tristan did the artwork, because I think he's just done the Phil Mogg artwork as well. So he put me in touch with Phil to do an interview, but we're just waiting for a date for that. So Tristan, he's done quite a bit of the UFO stuff as well.
But of course, he's been with us since Second Nature. He's always been a great fan. We have a great team behind us that have all dedicated, all been Lionheart fans from 1980, 81. And meeting up and getting this team together is all through love. It's all through, no one gets paid. It's for the love of the band and the music. We have, other guys, Neil and Mick and other people, Stacey doing the video for the new single, which is Little Ships, which we saw first time today, which is absolutely fantastic. So we have this nice little team that we do it for the love of the band, and it goes without showing that Tristan's just fantastic. The stuff he's done for other people, and also Second Nature, the Reality of Miracles. With that Reality of Miracles, when he put that booklet inside with a circle of bands, and it's never ending. I say this to all the fans. I remember going to buy albums when I was a teenager, listening to Steely Dan and a lot of the music from the Doobie Brothers or Toto or Foreign Journey and the English bands like Deep Purple. But the thing about the American bands, you get the cover, you'd open it up, and you'd see about 50 musicians on the album, especially Steely Dan. A band in Chicago, band in New York, band in LA. Wow, he's playing on that track. I used to love reading.
Definitely.
Old school. And Tristan's still old school. And when he puts so much effort, 24-page booklet, the amount of work that goes into that with photographs and the history of Lionheart, when people download it or stream it, they miss out on all that. They miss out on that stuff.
That's what I try and explain to my kids when they go, Dad, why do you still buy records? I say, well, it's not the same streaming. It's convenient, great for the car, but it's not the same when you're sitting in your house listening to something when you want to get it out, read it, put it on.
Exactly.
It's just, you're just more invested in it when you've paid for it and you've got something to hold in your hands. So I think Tristan's done some wonderful.
So
he's a nice lad as well. A while since you've been out on tour. Have you got any? I know you've got the Firefest show in Manchester booked in later this year. Have you got any more shows planned?
Well, funny enough, we spoke about that today, me and Steve. It looks like at the moment we're only at the second month of the year. It's early doors, but it looks like this year we've got more free time because I'm away quite a lot with Maiden United and other tours that I'm doing. Like I've just come back from Brazil. But I think Steve's got to look at the Michael Schenker schedule. Lee's got to look at Sweet, where he gets his income and other solo stuff that he's doing. So I think it's one of those things where we look at the calendar, and if we have got the free time, we can pencil them in to do like maybe a small tour. It'd be lovely to play it back again live because it's been so long. We spoke today about going back to Japan because we've not been there since 2018. And there's a big interest for this new album from Japan. We've got some loyal fans there, thank God. So who knows? But we do want to put time aside just for Lionheart, you know. But as I say, if you buy the album, it gives us a little bit of money to put petrol in the van, hire a van, then we can tour. Help us out.
Indeed. Because, I mean, back in 2016, it had been almost 30 years that you were apart and you got back together again. What made you decide to sort of get the band back?
Well, it was Dave Ling and all the other guys, Rob, all the other guys from the magazines. So we got asked to do the Rockingham Festival. And they said, would you do it? And we went, wow, you know, it just so happens that there wasn't a lot going on at that time. And we all talked on the phone and we all talked on email and WhatsApp and everything else. And we said, look, you know, let's give it a go. It's one gig. You know, so here at Ferry Cross Studios, where I am now in Saffron Walden, Tim Atkinson, who owns this studio, he have a live room upstairs, a digital studio, rehearsal rooms. The kids are rehearsing in there at the moment with small children, singing and piano. We're allowed to rehearse here free of charge, thanks to Tim. So we rehearsed for 2 days for the Rockingham with me, Rocky, Clive, then Lee joined us. And then we fly Steve over from Germany and he joins us for 2 days, final rehearsal. We went and played. And it went down a storm. It was absolutely brilliant. It was so good. It was so good to be singing together again. Like it just felt natural. And when we got to the dressing room, they all came in and they said, you can't leave it now. You've got to do another album. And Steve said, well, I've got the studio. Let's do another album. And we were able to use some songs that weren't on the Hot Tonight album. We re-recorded them, brought them up to date. Steve done a great job recording, engineering and producing. Second Nature come out with a lot of interest. And they said, well, look, if it doesn't interfere with our normal routine of life and work, let's do it because we love Lionheart. It's a love that we've always never stopped loving. And as I said, with Second Nature was gone, with the Reality of Miracles, we found a really good way of working on the internet, WhatsApp, send the songs over, do it indoors, have a play, work out what you're doing, go to Stacey's, my guy here, who done the video. I record some of the solos. He sends them back to Steve. Steve puts them all in the puzzle. And there it is. You know, once the puzzle's complete, everyone's flying in different emails, different files, it's all done. He mixes it, masters it, it's done. We found a way of working that works for us. Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
So it works for us. We did that on Reality of Miracles. And then when we said, look, what an album, Reality of Miracles, best thing we've ever done. So we said, we can top that. We can top that. And so back we went. And it's same routine was files coming indoors, playing, do the vocals, backing vocals, do the guitar solos, do the harmonies, fly it all in, put the puzzle together. And it worked exactly the same.
Brilliant.
And so I want to carry on. I want to keep going. It depends this year, as I said, how busy we are with other people.
Yeah. I know all the lads in the band are really busy. Yeah. So I know over the years you've had a couple of singers in the past. You had Jess Cox from Newcastle and Keith Murrell, amongst others. Did you ever consider asking any of those guys back before you settled on Lee?
No. We had a horrendous time with singers. We were in the studio auditioning singers for about 6 months. We even tried doing it with me and Rocky singing lead vocals, and it didn't work. And you know, I even said to Steve Harris, when we talk on the phone all the time, and I said to Steve, you know, Steve, any singers that you could recommend? And he said, then the problem is, if they're any good, they'll be working. They'll already be bad. So that's the problem you have. We tried a few singers out, you know, Ruben Archer. That was in the early days. But when we got back together, when we decided to do the Second Nature album and do Rockingham, we definitely decided that we need a classy singer. We need someone that's going to put it across the way we want the vocals to sound. You know, everyone wants a new David Coverdale or any kind of singer, like from Bruce Dickinson to David Coverdale to whatever. Yeah. But Lee loves the band. He loves the songs. He loves contributing to the songs. And he's got a fantastic voice. And his voice matches well with ours. So that was the point we had to get put across to Lee, was that Lee, you need to live. You need to earn money to live. Yeah. We won't interfere with your social and your working life. We want you to dedicate to Lionheart when you're free. Same as Steve does, same as we all do. And that's the way it's worked. So honestly, it wasn't a fact of looking for other singers. We wanted Lee. Lee did Second Nature. We were a little bit worried after Second Nature because Lee got offered some work in LA. It was going to be about a year. And so we decided that we had to look for someone else. But luckily, that project fell through. So Lee stayed at home. So we were able
I mean, it's funny. When I was playing your album in the kitchen last week, both my daughter and my wife came into saying, "Oh, who's this?" And they like the harmonies, particularly like the vocal harmonies and the choruses, and the lead vocals. And I said to my wife, I said, "Oh, you know, when you went to see Sweet just before Christmas," I said, "That's the bass player." She goes, "Really?" So I said, "Yeah." So he's the bass player and backing singer of Sweet, but he's really a lead singer in his own right. And I've liked Lee Small always for a long, long time. And he's just done one with a band called Attack. A guitarist called it.
Yeah.
It's great singer. So I'd love to see him come out and do, play with you as a lead singer for a full.
When we did Sweden Rock and as I say, the Japanese tour 2018 with Praying Mantis, it was great. You just have to look after him because he's not one of these rock and roll singers that can sing every night. He's just got to nurture his voice.
Yeah. So you've now done 3 albums in 7 or so years since you returned. I mean, I think you probably answered this question already. So did you see Lionheart as a sort of a long-term project with more albums in the pipeline, which you can sort of fit in around all of your other projects because it's something that you enjoy doing, so you can find the time to do it, and the way you work enables you to do that?
Well, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that, but I can't answer for Steve because, when Steve's such a perfectionist, and it's him that's sitting in the studio listening to every note we play, every song, every note we sing, everything that we put down. It's so much more work for Steve than it is for the rest of us. So with all these with all his touring with Schenker and all the stuff he has to do with them, plus his own work, it's whether or not he has the energy and the hours spare to put into it. But I would love to think we could carry on. even if the album took 2 years to make, only in his spare time. I would never push Steve to sort of like to the point of his other work suffers. You know what I mean?
So you can do it as and when you want to do it because you enjoy it.
Yeah, it's got to be, you know.
Yeah, I think we're down to the last couple of minutes or so. So I'll just random questions. I know when you were in Iron Maiden on that first album, and there was layered vocals on Phantom of the Opera. That was always my favourite part of the album. I understand that you wanted to take that even further and have even more on, but that was stripped back. So that's a stripped back version. Do you have the original version with all the vocals stacked on top that you could put out one day?
No, basically that was a little bit of free time we had in the studio, because I always used to go in on my own, doing the guitar harmonies and maybe some backing vocals, and they would pick what they wanted. If they wanted to keep it or they took it off. But that was a bit of fun because I was in the studio with the engineer, and we were doing the, you haunt me, you talk me, you talk to me back, there. And I said, wouldn't it be great to have a big, like Queen sort of, a big, powerful chorus on that? So I knew it would never happen because it's not Iron Maiden. But what happened was we put a couple of layers down, a higher one, lower one, mid-range, and we were listening to it. What I didn't realise that Rod Smallwood had crept in the studio behind us, and we didn't know he was there, and we were laughing, sitting at the desk because it was late, dark, and we were sitting there. Your dad is my man, I must. He go, well, that sounds powerful, doesn't it? And he went absolutely ballistic. He went, get rid of that. It sounds like Queen. I went, that's what it's supposed to sound like. I said,
it sounds like I'm intrigued.
I said, Rod, we're only messing about. We're only messing about, Rod. So we only got the two part staying. That's it. Don't worry. But as I said many times on interviews, I've always wanted to re-record that song with Steve Mann and Lionheart, and also do it more like a big massive production with like cellos and things.
Do you think you will do that at some point? You think you will do that at some point?
Yeah, I think it would be great if Steve stops working for a little while. But yes, it would be great to have. What gave me the idea was Pertru, who I worked with in Maiden United. He plays cello with Apocalyptica, and I went. Yeah, and I went and he plays with Maiden United, and then I went and saw him at the Corn Exchange in Cambridge as Apocalyptica, 3 cellos, powerful.
Yeah, I saw them.
Imagine, with a breakdown in Phantom of the Opera, when you go with cellos rather than guitars. And just different ideas being thrown in with a very classical chorus with lots of singers, lots of vocals.
Yeah. Just the last couple of questions then. Steve Harrison's got British Lion, you've got Lionheart. Have you ever talked about doing the 2 Lions tour?
I have asked Steve a couple of times to go out and support British Lions. Steve, I know he did mention that he wanted to keep British Lions separate from Iron Maiden.
He does,
and the Iron Maiden connection.
Yes,
I do understand that, but there was a review last week in one of the magazines where it said that whoever wrote the article, it was on my phone, and it did say that out of Iron Maiden's come 2 melodic rock bands.
Yes, yeah,
Lionheart and British Lions. So that's quite a nice connection. But I know if I was to, as I say, apart from getting up and playing one more song, apart from that, I think Steve would rather keep separate the British Lion project from Iron Maiden, and also from me being connected to Maiden and Lionheart. I think he would rather keep that. So I think it would be a great tour. Yeah. We could go out.
You're musically compatible as well.
Yeah, and also it's got that ring to it, like the rugby, like the Lions tour.
Yeah,
that's one of them things. Yeah. But no, I think Steve's happy enough to crack on with British Lions
and
just keep the separation from Iron Maiden.
Yeah. So, last question: what have you got lined up for the coming months? I think we've got 1 minute. We've got 1 minute before it clicks off. So, what have you got lined up?
Oh, right. I'm doing some, when we're out on tour with Maiden United. I'm over there next month, March. I'm back over there. I think there are a couple of gigs in April.
Yeah.
We're going to be working, hopefully, getting ready for the if any gigs come up for Lionheart. I don't know yet because it's not been mentioned yet because we're only in February. But I still do a lot of work with the Maiden conventions in Europe. I just come back from Italy on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and went play straight in London. So everyone's very busy now. It's starting to get after Christmas. So that's the idea of it, and then talk to Lion. Well, let's keep promoting this month before the 23rd of February because that's when the album comes out. So
well, Dennis, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, I can see you come up to Newcastle at some point. If not, hopefully, be down at the Five Fest Festival in Manchester in October. Hope to see you there, and thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, listen, thank you, and thanks for everyone up there. And please keep supporting the cause. Support Lionheart. Give us a chance.
Yeah, we'll do.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Thank
See
you.
you soon. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.